I got a great comment yesterday from Nicholas Johnson on the video about figuring out your life purpose, asking about how I deal with uncertainty. It's great, and I want to answer that today. So Nick says, I found that as time goes on, the idea of having one answer to what to do with my life worries me less, because some of the things that excite me most in the present, I wasn't even aware of their existence in the not too distant past. And I think that is absolutely true. It is not possible or very hard to see when a great new option presents itself if you are so fixated on a path that you decided long ago. Obviously, there's a lot of really healthy space in between the two extremes of like having no purpose and always running toward the next greatest thing and being totally dedicated to one option to the detriment of new ones that may present themselves. You don't become a world-class athlete or performer if you chase every new interest that comes your way. But then again, people like me who start life thinking they're going to be one thing and end up being another would never find that second option if we were completely focused on the first one. And in my experience, a big part of negotiating a healthy balance between these two extremes is learning to forgive my past self. It is pretty easy to blame ourselves for making choices that later look like the wrong ones. But I have found it really helpful to try to thank my past self instead of blaming her. I need to just trust that I made the best decision I could with the information I had at the time. And sometimes, sure, there are clear mistakes where I knew I was doing the wrong thing and I did them anyway. But most of the time, I made the choice that made the most sense. And even though now in the future, looking backward, I can see that maybe something else would have been more helpful or gotten me where I wanted to go quicker, I didn't know it at the time, and it's not productive to blame my past self for her actions. And similar to forgiving your past self, it's also really important to trust your future self. Even though it often doesn't feel this way, I know rationally that I am only getting better at decision making. I'm only getting smarter. I'm only getting more introspective and kind of better versed in my own tendencies. My judgment, my ability to read a situation, and my just straight up knowledge of the world is getting better with time. So it therefore follows that I'll get better at making choices for myself. And sometimes that means kicking a problem down the road. I'm not a fan of that generally, but sometimes when I'm faced with two kind of equally uncertain options, I have to just choose one and trust that my future self is going to figure it out. So none of this is comfortable and none of this is easy, but those are the two kind of like mental frameworks that help me be a little bit more comfortable when I need to dwell in an uncertain place. Quitting my job? Filled with uncertainty. Right now, this career looks promising. Right now, I'm able to make money with my skills. Will that be true forever? Who knows? I might look back in a year or 2 years or 5 years and be like, I was so dumb. How did I not know that the podcast industry would be a bubble, or that this would actually not make me happy, or that I should have done this years ago? I don't know. It might be, but I can't know. I can't see into the future, and I can't use future knowledge to make present day decisions. So I just have to trust that me in the future will know what to do and just try to make the best choices and equip her the best in the present day that I can. And that means things like having emergency savings or saving for retirement or never burning bridges. That's something my mom taught me when I was a kid, and I was like, okay, mom, whatever. But it actually is really important where even if I have a bad interaction with somebody or work with a client that I would never work with again, I talk about that privately. And I sit in my anger and resentment and let it go and cook something loudly or go to the gym or scream along to my Broadway playlist. And the next day when I'm not mad, email them back, because you never know what's going to be helpful in the future. I think it was in last VEDO that I talked about my Rilke tattoo. So it says, love the questions themselves. It's from Letters to a Young Poet. And when I got it, and still now, it reminds me that times of uncertainty are not just times to like white knuckle your way through, that they can be instructive, they can be exhilarating, and that often it's the like uncertainty, fear, like slight nausea of excitement that makes a time really worth remembering. Well, my next tattoo is going to be another Rilke phrase, which is no feeling is final. And to me, that means even if right now I feel like I am the dumbest person in the world, or that there is nothing but heartbreak in my future, or that I'm the worst and no one wants to spend time with me, and whatever the negative self-talk, the depression wants to tell me, it's not final. It's not a final judgment. It is not the truth. It is not indicative of what's in the future. So thank you, Nicholas, for the very insightful comment and the great suggestion. I never would have thought to make a video on this without you, so I appreciate it. And to those listening and watching at home, I'm used to saying listening because podcasts. Let me know if you have any particular advice or strategies for coping with uncertainty, or if you love uncertainty, why you do. And as always, if you have video ideas or questions to ask or a prompt, I'd be very grateful to hear them. See you tomorrow.